What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler and can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Monday, June 1st. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as shortstop Elly De La Cruz was placed on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain. It's between a grade 1 and grade 2 strain. So we'll call it a grade 1.5 strain for Elly De La Cruz. And this is actually the first time he's hit the IL in his short career thus far. De La Cruz is expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks with the injury, so it's not going to be a minimum stint on the IL. Very unfortunate for the Reds and fantasy managers that likely drafted De La Cruz in the first 2 rounds. The exciting silver lining here is that second baseman Edwin Arroyo was recalled from the minors by the Reds. He's the Reds' number 3 prospect and the number 98 prospect in baseball, according to MLB Pipeline. And Arroyo is having his best minor league season as a 22-year-old at AAA, batting .323 with 11 homers, 9 steals, and a 143 WRC+. Arroyo will play second base every day for the Reds, allowing Matt McLain to shift to shortstop to cover for De La Cruz during his absence. Next, we have some reliever injuries as Chris Martin was placed on the 15-day IL with a shoulder impingement at 40 years old. Martin has been unable to stay healthy, and in a corresponding move, the Rangers shook up their bullpen, not only transferring relief pitcher Robert Garcia to the 60-day IL as he recovers from shoulder inflammation, but also optioning reliever Gavin Collier to the minors. And then in corresponding moves added to the roster were Luis Cervello and Robbie Alstrom, who had his contract selected from the minors. Next, reliever Joel Peguero was placed directly on the 60-day IL with a hamstring strain. That obviously means it's a severe strain, and Peguero won't be able to return until August at the earliest. Reliever Wilkin Ramos was selected from the minors in a corresponding move. And lastly, reliever Josh Eknes was placed on the 15-day IL with a calf strain. The timeline for Eknes's return is unclear, but the Marlins shook up their bullpen as well as Andrew Nardi was transferred to the 60-day IL and Josh White was optioned to the minors. Then added to the bullpen were relievers Zach Brzezicki and Tyler Zuber, as they both had their contracts selected from the minors. In terms of transactions, reliever Carmen Mlodzinski was activated from the restricted list. Apparently, he's accepted his demotion to the bullpen, which means Cam Sanders will head back to the minors in a corresponding move. Next, starting pitcher Ty Madden, who had been out for a couple weeks with a forearm contusion, was activated from the 15-day IL to start in Tampa Bay. Madden went 3 1/3 innings, allowing 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts, inducing 8 whiffs with 25% CSW across 48 pitches. Workload was limited. He also didn't pitch that well. This is sort of what we expected from Madden. His stuff really isn't that great. He's not somebody to chase right now. Reliever Ricky Vanasco was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Next, starting pitcher Jacob Lopez was officially optioned to the minors. He allowed 7 runs across 2 frames in his last start and has struggled to a 6.75 ERA and a 2% strikeout minus walk rate in 12 appearances this year. The A's were already in need of a rotational replacement for the injured Aaron Civale, so we can expect to see a couple of minor league starting pitching promotions in the coming days. I think we'll see Mason Barnett, and we are guaranteed to see Cade Morris, who's expected to be promoted to make his MLB debut on Friday in Houston. Morris is the A's number 12 prospect and has pitched to a 4.45 ERA with a 19% strikeout rate and 11 starts at AAA this year. Next, first baseman Pavin Smith was activated from the 10-day IL after missing a month with elbow inflammation. No, it was actually 2 months, all of April and all of May for Pavin Smith, and he will take over the strong side of a DH platoon with Jose Fernandez, forcing Adrian Del Castillo to the bench. And gosh, I forget who the guy who was sent to the minors in a corresponding. I just remembered it was Tim Tawa will head to the minors in a corresponding move. And lastly, reliever Justin Lawrence was traded by the Pirates to the Twins in exchange for cash considerations after being DFA'd by the Pirates over the weekend. I actually really like Lawrence's stuff. Ever since I watched him pitch in Colorado, I knew that if he found the right destination, he would take off. Last year, it looked like that was happening, and then he got injured, and he hasn't put it together this year. But with the state of the Twins bullpen, Lawrence is definitely going to get some opportunities. And I'm not saying go pick him up anywhere, but if he were to ultimately take over that Twins close role, I hope you think of me first. That's Justin Lawrence headed to the Twins. And in terms of news, starting pitcher Ryan Gusto is expected to be recalled from the minors to make his season debut in Washington. He is pitching for the Marlins. Expect the Marlins to have at least one more addition to this rotation with so many injuries at the moment. And lastly, outfielder Jace Bowen is expected to have his contract selected from the minors. He's the Padres' number 23 prospect, and he signed a minor league contract with the Padres after failing in the Pirates organization over the last few years. And as a 25-year-old at AAA this year, Bowen has batted .292 with 13 homers, 7 steals, and a 121 WRC plus. And Bowen will likely be the Padres' fourth outfielder moving forward. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had a short slate of 9 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with third baseman Miguel Vargas, who did all he could at the White Sox loss in Minnesota. He went 3 for 5 with 2 runs, a double, 2 home runs, and 4 runs batted in. He's up to 15 homers on the year now, and it's just been an incredible breakout season for Vargas, who has also chipped in 9 steals and an 875 OPS that is much better than the 717 OPS he had in 2025. So the failed Dodgers prospect is figuring things out with the White Sox, and he's now 1 home run shy from the career high that he set last year. Next, catcher Dylan Dingler helped the Tigers to win in Tampa Bay, going 4 for 5 with 4 runs, a double, 2 home runs, and 4 runs batted in. He's up to 13 homers on the year now. The first one traveled 428 feet at 105 miles per hour. The second one, 415 feet at 104 miles per hour. And this was the first career multi-homer game for Dylan Dingler. He got off to a hot start with a 124 WRC plus and 5 homers in April, but he slowed down a bit in May, watching his batting average fall 40 points as his strikeout rate rose 7%, leading to a 107 WRC plus in the month of May. But Dingler has maintained his power. He maintained the power that he gained in April and parlayed that into more power in May, belting 6 more dingers. And it looks like he's also carrying it over into the summer months as well with this multi-homer game to kick off the month of June. Dingler has proven that last year's above-average offensive performance was no fluke, and that he even has another level to reach, having already tied his home run total from last year with 13, supported by an increased barrel rate and more pulled fly balls. I'd expect his current 241 batting average to come closer to the 278 mark he had last year, as well as his 250 BABIP regresses. Dylan Dingler is legit. And lastly, we've got catcher Liam Hicks, who helped the Marlins to win in our nation's capital, going 1 for 4 with 2 runs, a home run, an RBI, and a walk for good measure. It was his 12th homer of the year, and it traveled 379 feet at 101 miles per hour. And Hicks is third in MLB with 46 runs batted in. Pretty impressive for the breakout catcher. Let's check in on another backstop who got off to a great start this year. Hicks had an unreal April, batting .315 with 7 homers and a 156 WRC plus, but May was not as kind to him with a 224 batting average, 4 homers, and a 98 WRC plus. The positives were that Hicks maintained his impressive plate discipline, walking more than he struck out, and he was clearly a bit unlucky with a 217 BABIP. So very similarly to Dingler, Hicks regressed, but maybe a little bit too far the other way. I'd actually prefer Dingler moving forward in standard leagues. Hicks is a monster in points leagues, but he doesn't hit the ball very hard. Definitely not even close to as hard as Dingler. I think Dingler's barrel rate is 3 times that of Hicks. And Hicks has produced most of his value by being in the right place at the right time, coming through with a 340 batting average with runners in scoring position and having that inflated RBI total. A 77 WRC plus with the bases empty suggests that there's a more mediocre middle ground Hicks is likely to find himself in, and I'd be selling high while his numbers still look elite. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Jose Soriano, who helped the Angels to win against the Rockies. No, actually, the Angels lost. He did all he could, but the Angels lost to the Rockies. He went 4 2/3 innings, allowing 3 hits and 2 earned runs, walking 7 while fanning 7, inducing 22 whiffs with 31% CSW across 108 pitches. He earned the Gallows Pole by leading baseball with those 22 whiffs. And this was an easy matchup against Rocky Road for Soriano, but he should have cruised, and this is not necessarily cruising. While the Gallows poll suggests there was a form of dominance there, the 7 walks say otherwise. Soriano's track record of high walk rates and high whips due to a reliance on balls in play with those walks have always prevented him from reaching the levels we saw from him in April that made him like a top 30 starter. We've seen a lot of regression from Soriano lately with a 5.18 ERA, a 1.59 whip, and a 24% strikeout rate, as well as a 14% walk rate across his last 7 starts. 4 of Soriano's 5 pitches here failed to eclipse 60% strikes. The four-seamer is supposed to be a game changer to earn Soriano strikes and avoid balls in play as more of a whiff pitch, or at least a pitch that's not going to return ground balls if he locates it upstairs. And it's supposed to be the pitch that helps him survive when his sinker, curve, and splitter aren't feeling it. And it was not the savior it was supposed to be here, causing Soriano to constantly lose at bats. I still think he's better than he was last year with the increased emphasis on those four-seamers and splitters, which not only, like I said, help with the whiffs and help him earn more strikes and help him earn fewer ground balls, but also the splitters help him with a more legit whiff offering against left-handed batters. But his deficiencies remain the same. Soriano will have an inflated whip, and his ERA is destined to land closer to 4 than 2. He heads to the Dodgers next, and that's precarious given his struggles against a bottom-tier offense on Monday. Next, we have Eduardo Rodriguez, who helped the Diamondbacks to win against the Dodgers, tossing 6 innings, allowing 5 hits and 1 run with 1 walk and 3 strikeouts, inducing 6 whiffs with 27% CSW across 96 pitches. And Erod showed exactly what you're supposed to do when facing the Dodgers. I've been saying all year that they're a little bit passive, so Rodriguez took advantage of the patient Dodgers offense by stealing strikes with four-seamers in the zone and keeping them guessing with changeups low and cutters and sinkers around the zone. Sitting more than a tick up on everything allowed Rodriguez to avoid damage, but he was lucky to go 15 for 20 on outs on balls in play. He's had great command of his four-seamers and changeups all season, leading to a 2.24 ERA and a 1.19 whip. And after surviving the reigning champion Dodgers, I think we're okay starting Eduardo Rodriguez versus the Nationals next. Lastly, we have Shane Drohan, who helped the Brewers to win against the Giants, tossing 4 innings, allowing 4 hits and 2 earned runs, walking 2 while striking out 5. He induced 13 whiffs with 34% CSW across 68 pitches and earned the King Cole by leading baseball with that 34% CSW. The Brewers are trying Drohan out in the rotation, and it looks smart after he displayed some great skills in his first proper start. Is Drohan somebody to be interested in? He's got a decent 96 mile per hour four-seamer for his flat arm and approach angle, allowing it to play upstairs. Unfortunately, he avoided the zone a bit too much with the heater, leading to a 50% strike rate on the pitch, forcing sinkers to live in the zone literally 100% of the time as they crossed their fingers that they didn't get crushed, but it didn't work as the 2 runs against Drohan in this one came on a 2-run homer off a sinker down the pipe. Drohan's slider is decent as he locates it well versus lefties, but against right-handed batters, the southpaw's curve doesn't appear to be the weapon he needs it to be to handle the batters that he's going to face most often. The cutter that he threw just 2 times could be the key, but we don't really have enough to jump in on Drohan, especially as he heads to Coors for his next start. The rotation for the Brewers could also be healthier in the next couple of weeks. So there's no guarantee Drohan sticks. I think I'd not mess with the Drohan for right now. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Will Vest worked around 2 runs in a 5-out save, his first of the year. Kyle Finnegan recorded 4 outs between the 6th and 7th for his 7th hold. So not really totally clear who's the closer with Kenley Jansen on the IL, but neither Vest nor Finnegan has been great this year. Jacob Latz pitched a perfect 9th for his 8th save, and Paul Sewald also had a perfect 9th, recording his 15th save of the season. In terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Pete Fairbanks pitched a perfect 9th, up by 4 after the Marlins tacked on 3 insurance runs in the top half to ruin his save opportunity. Andres Munoz pitched a perfect 9th in a tie game that the Mariners would win in 10 innings. Devin Williams also pitched a perfect 9th in that one. Kirby Yates allowed a run pitching the 9th in a tie game to take his first loss. And lastly, Antonio Senzatella recorded the final 5 outs of the game for his 5th win. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's daily articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before I look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Tuesday, June 2nd, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Kevin Gausman versus Bryce Elder. Can Elder bounce back from the start that looked like it was the unceremonious end to his incredible run this season? And can Gausman reclaim the splitter that has been a little bit more volatile than we like this year? In terms of probable starters, we got 6 guys in the auto starts tier, including Cam Schlittler versus the Guardians, Logan Gilbert versus the Mets, and Nathan Eovaldi in St. Louis. Our probably start tier has 2 guys, and our questionable starts tier has 10, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Trevor McDonald in Milwaukee. He's proven very capable recently. He's had some great starts. He had that one disaster that I'll blame on just a nightmare inning, and I think McDonald is a very safe play here in Milwaukee. I'd also keep an eye out for Dustin May versus the Rangers, and if you follow me on Twitter, or X, as some people like to call it, then you know that I actually had May in the probably start tier ahead of where Nick had Trevor McDonald ranked. So I prefer May versus the Rangers here. He's been somebody who's been very reliable since his first 2 starts. He's got a very solid ratios, but he's been a guy who's been relying more so on balls in play, weakly hit ground balls that is sort of sustainable given his proclivity to throw hard sinkers that produce a ton of grounders, and he has overwhelming velocity that allows him to produce weak contact. However, he was a guy who wasn't really striking many people out, but he started to do that recently with 7 or more strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 starts, 26% strikeout rate across those 4 starts. And he was incredible in his last outing, taking a no-hitter into the 8th inning, striking out 9 batters. And I think that gives him a ceiling that's worth chasing while he has this really stable floor based on his command, his ability to produce grounders and weak contact. I really like Dustin May versus the Rangers, and I think he might be somebody to hold in standard leagues, especially if he pitches well again here. In terms of hitter suggestions, I target Rays hitters versus Jack Flaherty in Tropicana Field. Not a great hitter's park, but Jack Flaherty has a 5.81 ERA on the season. Marlins hitters and Nationals hitters in Nationals Park is my next target. This is because we'll see Ryan Gusto in his season debut square off against Miles Mikolas and his 5.72 ERA on the season. I like Marlins and Nationals hitters on Tuesday. And lastly, I target Royals and Reds hitters in Great American Ballpark. It's one of the best hitters parks in baseball, and we'll see Noah Cameron square off against Andrew Abbott. So target right-handed hitting Royals and Reds hitters. Now we can close things out with our relievers to watch. Will Vest has threw 40 pitches on Monday, and I'd expect Kyle Finnegan or Drew Anderson to be the top options for a save because Will Vest should be unavailable after that heavy workload. And lastly, Jacob Latz has pitched in back-to-back days. Tyler Alexander has pitched in 3 of the past 4, so I'm going to say that Jacob Junis is going to be the top option to get a save for the Rangers on Tuesday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler, where I do daily SP streamers and break down every single start via the Pitcher List Stats player cards. Tune into YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast, and make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.